Panqui has a question. Have you ever stopped and realized how fast everything is moving? Not just thought about it, but actually felt it, like that moment where everything gets quiet for a second and you suddenly notice how far you've come, how much has changed, how many versions of you have already existed. Because one day you were a kid and you didn't think about time. You didn't think about money. You didn't think about your future like it was something you had to figure out. You just lived. Days felt long, summers felt endless, and everything felt like it would always be there. But then somehow it all started moving. Slowly at first, then all at once, and now you look back at those moments and they feel like they belong to someone else. Panqui thinks that's one of the strangest feelings. To remember a version of yourself that feels so real, but so far away at the same time. And it makes you wonder, when did it all go by? Because no one ever tells you. This is the part you're going to miss. No one tells you. This is the last time this will ever happen. It just happens quietly, without warning. Last time you played outside without checking the time. Last time you sat at the dinner table with everyone. Last time a place felt like home before life moved you somewhere else. The last time you saw someone before they became just a memory. Panqui wonders how many last times we've already lived without even noticing. And maybe how many are happening right now? Because life doesn't end all at once. It changes in small pieces, little by little, moment by moment, until one day everything is different, and you don't even remember when it changed. Panqui thinks that's what makes life feel short. Not just the years, but the way moments disappear without asking. The way time moves, whether you're paying attention or not. And most of the time, we're not paying attention. We're thinking about what's next, what we need to do, what we haven't done yet, what we're worried about, what we're trying to fix, what we're trying to become. And while we're doing all of that, life is happening in the background, quietly, patiently, waiting for us to notice it, but we rarely do, not until something changes, not until something ends, not until something is gone, and then suddenly, that ordinary moment becomes something you wish you could go back to. Panqui thinks about that a lot, how the things we call normal today are the things we'll miss tomorrow. Like random conversations, inside jokes, the way your routine feels right now, even the things you complain about, even the things that feel boring. Because one day, those things won't exist in the same way anymore. And you'll realize they were never just normal. They were your life. Panqui thinks we underestimate how meaningful the ordinary is. We're always waiting for something big, something exciting, something different. But life isn't made of big moments. It's made of small ones, repeated over and over again. And those small moments, they are the ones that disappear the fastest because we don't hold on to them. We don't even notice them. We just move through them. Panqui also thinks we live like we have more time than we actually do. Like life is something we can always come back to later. I'll do it later. I'll say it later. I'll fix it later. I'll enjoy life later. But later is not guaranteed. And even when later comes, it doesn't look the same. Because time changes everything. People change, places change, you change. And what once felt easy might not be easy anymore. What once felt available might not be there anymore. Panqui thinks realizing life is short is not about panic. It's about perspective. It's about understanding that your time is limited. And because it's limited, it's valuable. Every hour, every day, every moment. Not in a stressful way, but in a meaningful way. Because if your time is valuable, then what you do with it matters. Who you spend it with matters. What you give your energy to matters. And not everything deserves it. Not every worry, not every argument, not every situation that drains you. Panqui wonders how much time we've already spent on things that don't actually matter. Overthinking, comparing, trying to prove something, trying to be enough, trying to meet expectations that were never even ours. And for what? Because at the end of the day, time is the only thing you don't get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can fail and try again. You can start over. But time, once it passes, it's gone. And that sounds scary, but Panqui doesn't think it's meant to be scary. It's meant to be grounding. Because when you understand that, you start seeing things differently. You start asking different questions. Like, is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? Is this how I want to spend my life? And sometimes the honest answer is no. But we stay anyway. Because it's comfortable. Because it's familiar. Because it's what we've always known. Panqui think one of the hardest things to do is to choose differently, to walk away from things that no longer feel right, to let go of versions of your life that don't fit you anymore, to accept that just because something has been part of your life doesn't mean it has to stay forever. And that's difficult, because letting go feels like losing something. But sometimes it's actually making space for something new, something more aligned, something that feels like you. Panqui also thinks we spend so much time trying to become someone that we forget to be who we already are. We think life starts when we reach a certain point, when we have the job, when we have the money, when we have everything figured out. But what if life is not waiting for you at the finish line? What if life is happening right now, in the middle of the confusion, in the middle of the uncertainty, in the middle of not knowing what you're doing? Because the truth is, no one fully knows what they're doing. Everyone is just figuring it out as they go. And while you're waiting to feel ready, time is still moving. Moments are still passing. Life is still happening. Panqui has another question. Are you actually living your life, or are you just preparing for it? Because there's a difference. Preparing is always about the future. Living is about the present. And a lot of people spend their entire lives preparing, but never actually living. Always waiting. Always postponing. Always thinking, I'll start when, but when never really comes. There's always something else. Another goal, another reason, another excuse. And suddenly, years have passed and you realize you were waiting for a moment that never arrived. Panqui thinks, maybe life is not about getting somewhere. Maybe it's about experiencing where you already are. Not perfectly. Not in a way that looks good to others, but in a way that feels real to you. Because at the end of your life, you're not going to remember every email you sent, every task you completed, everything you worried about. You're going to remember moments, feelings, people, experiences, the things that made you feel alive. And that's what matters, not perfection, not productivity, not being ahead, just being present. Panqui also thinks about how we treat time like it's something we can control. But we can't. We can't slow it down. We can't pause it. We can't go back. All we can do is choose how we move through it. And maybe that's enough. Maybe you don't need more time. Maybe you just need more awareness of the time you already have to notice things, to appreciate things, to be present in things, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because those are the ones that build your life, not the big milestones, the everyday moments, the quiet mornings, the random conversations, the feeling of being somewhere without needing to be anywhere else. Panqui thinks life being short is not a problem to solve. It's a truth to accept. And once you accept it, you start living differently. You start choosing differently. You start letting go of things that don't matter. You start holding on to things that do. You start realizing You don't have time to be someone you're not. You don't have time to live a life that doesn't feel like yours. You don't have time to keep waiting because one day this version of you will be gone too. Not in a sad way, just in the natural way life moves. You'll grow, you'll change, you'll become someone new, and this current version of you will only exist in memories. So maybe be here for it. Be present for it, even if it's not perfect, even if it's messy, even if you're still figuring things out, because that's part of it. That's what makes it real. Panqui thinks life is short, but not in a way that should make you rush, in a way that should make you notice what you have, notice who you are, notice where you are before it becomes something you wished you could go back to. Because you will miss things you don't even realize matter right now. That's how life works. And maybe that's what makes it beautiful, because if everything lasted forever, nothing would feel special. Nothing would mean as much. It's the fact that moments end that gives them value, that gives them weight, that makes them worth feeling. So maybe today doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to be ahead. You don't need to be more. You just need to be here, alive in your own life, not rushing through it, not waiting for it to start, but actually living it. Because Panqui thinks life is short, but it's also happening right now.